Matt, I know you've probably been in a lot of FA Cup games where there's a lower tier team and it kind of has the energy that it had tonight.
Yeah.
I would say there are a lot of aspects in which the Colorado Rapids did not dominate Union Omaha. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you just in terms of that aspect?
Yeah, it's funny. He must have been in the dressing room. I was just talking to the guys exactly about that after the game. That some of the experiences I had with Tottenham. We went to Tamworth away, and we had Premier League, their conference, and they took us to extra time. Bournemouth, when I was at Bournemouth, we played Boreham Wood at home and lost 1-0 and went out of the cup. So they're always difficult games, and tonight was no different. That was a tough game, but our objective was to progress, and that's the biggest, most pleasing aspect of this evening, along with the clean sheet, along with Chumba making his debut. I think a real positive evening in those aspects. Like I said to the guys, was it a performance that we can be proud of in terms of what we did with the ball, even what we did without the ball? No. But can we be proud in terms of our mentality, our approach to the game, and taking the opponent seriously? Definitely yes, and that's why we're through.
Brandon Nurse with the Denver
Hey,
Post. Can you just talk about some of the system changes, both formationally, and how the players were kind of allowed to roam within that formation, and what you liked, and what kind of the reason was for that kind of experimentation?
Yeah, no, it wasn't experiment. It was our usual process in terms of trying to find the spaces analysing the opponent and trying to find the best spaces, and then working with the dynamic of players that you have at your disposal. And obviously, because of their suspensions, I wanted both Jackson and Miguel to start the game. I also wanted Keegan to start the game. So then it was about trying to be creative with Jackson. So spent all week showing him some clips of Philip Lahm, who was a top fullback that went inside, and obviously did it from right back, but Jackson was doing it from left back. So he was in midfield, and then trying to just use the rotations between him and Miguel, because they both, Jackson pulling out to left back, Miguel going into the pocket, and then switching that up. So we had some moments in the first half where it looked nice, and then we just always lost our energy on the left-hand side. We'd get Miguel in the pocket, and then between him and Manyoma, we either missed the last pass, or we weren't aggressive enough to attack the space and go 1v1. I thought we were a little bit passive all across the front line, to be honest, in terms of when we had 1v1 opportunities. And then we made a couple different changes at half-time and changed the press. And part of that is also what the game demands, but me testing the players at this early stage of us being together and just seeing where we are in terms of tactical comprehension, and can they handle different changes we make in game. So, but I think overall the biggest thing tonight for me was that I'm pleased with, and especially seeing the other results, is the mentality and the approach to the game. We really took the opponent seriously, rightfully so, because they're a very good side.
Coach, with the league schedule, you kind of know weeks in advance you're going to play. With these cup matches, you may get a 2-week notice. How do you approach addressing that tactically with such little time with kind of an unknown team?
Yeah, it's a good question. We did something a little bit different this week. Obviously, it was our first Tuesday night game, so I still really wanted the guys to have Sunday off, but I always want 2 preparation sessions for every game minimum. So we tried to get creative, gave the guys the Sunday off, trained as normal on the Monday with the guys that hadn't played against Houston, sort of significant minutes, and then we actually trained today on the day of the game, and went through all of the tactical plan for this evening. Obviously, it wasn't too strenuous. It was more walkthroughs tactically, how we're going to press. We did obviously the meeting of the opponent today as well. So it's a structure that I like, because having lived like the Europa League campaign at Tottenham, I understand how demanding it can be. Thursday, Sunday can be emotionally draining, and it's very difficult to maintain your performance levels because you're just constantly in the building. You go from one game to the next. So I think giving the guys the Sunday off to be with their families, to refresh, to get away from football, to switch off, and then come in and we still get our time on the grass. It's a creative way of doing things, which I haven't seen before, but I wanted to trial it for this game, and I feel like it was a success in terms of my feeling, how I feel. I feel freshened up from having a day with my wife and daughter on Sunday, but I'll check in with the players and see what they thought, and if it's not for them, we can go back to training on Sunday, Monday, and then just having a normal game day. So watch this space, we'll see.
Matthew with Pitcast. Coach, given what you said about the training ahead of this match and then another match on Saturday, what will Wednesday, Thursday, Friday look like?
Yeah, we're in now for the rest of the week. So tomorrow will be first thing we'll do is a debrief video and give the guys the feedback in terms of where we need to improve. And obviously, you're always playing the game, so you have to beat that opponent. But as I always say to the players, we're always playing against ourselves and our level and the standard that we're trying to create. So one thing is we did enough tonight to beat the opponent and get through, but we also know that if we're playing against ourselves, we were way below the level that we want to achieve tonight. So it's just a case of showing them the images of, in all different facets of the game, how we build up, where did we make the mistakes, who wasn't in the right position, when did we play the wrong pass, when did we play the right pass, and then the same with our pressing, the same with our recovery runs, the same with how we defended around the box. So we'll do that. The guys who didn't play over 45 minutes tonight will train, and then once we're through Wednesday, Thursday will be our normal, what we call defensive solutions. We'll prepare the game plan for Miami, how we're going to press, how we're going to defend against them, what are the key movements they make, how do we stop their team play and their individuals. And then the day before the game, we're actually training at the stadium, which will be nice. And we'll prepare what we do with the ball and how we try and take the ball away from Miami.
Not Chumba. What did I want to ask about? I'm so sorry, man. I'm blanking.
No,
It's
go for it.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Ask me if you-
Okay. Nathan Chumba. I can't remember where or when he would have been in preseason with you. What have you seen from him from when you've met him to where he kind of earned this opportunity, and what do you see him in generally as a player?
Yeah, he didn't really feature too much through pre-season, obviously because of his age, and it's been more since we've been back here, and he's had, I'd say, a limited exposure to our training. Again, we've been conscious of his age and his stage of his development, but then the more I've watched of the Rapids 2 training, he's really excelled, and there's been great reports about him. He's a fantastic young man, and then I think, so he definitely warranted the opportunity. I was never sure I was going to put him on the pitch, but having him in the squad was definitely something I wanted to do because, you know, I think it's really exciting for the club to have a player like Chumba. I think it's very exciting for the fan base to have a young player, and we can always identify with that as fans. Then it was a case of just weighing up, is it the right stage, is it the right move for him now at this stage of his development? But once you meet him as a guy and you see his level of maturity, I'm always conscious, is this something that's going to go to his head? Or sometimes with young players, like I just said to him in the dressing room, sometimes you now think this is my trajectory now. Next week I'm on the bench against Miami and I come on, and the following week I start, and the following week I score a hat-trick. The following week after that, the manager makes me captain. Then I get a new contract, and sometimes a young player, you can think this is the trajectory. This is never football. It's always, maybe now he makes his debut, maybe now he has to wait 4 months before he plays again, maybe it's a year before he plays again, maybe it's a week before he plays again. You never know in football. So I'm very confident that him as a young man, with the support network he's got of his family and also us as a club, that tonight will only be a real positive for him. It will give him a taste to kick on and try and go for more. And for me, it's also a signal of intention to the rest of the club, the rest of the guys in the academy. If you don't take hope from Chumba making his debut tonight, if you don't see that, wow, there is a pathway for me here. Like I've said a few times, we are the youngest team in the MLS, and we're building something special. I love young players, and I want everyone here in this building to feel like if I have the right attitude, the right mentality, and I really push to improve as a player, then we have a head coach that will give us an opportunity. So hopefully off the back of tonight, everyone feels that.
Yeah, Coach, can you just talk about Dante Seeley, finally getting the weight off of his shoulder? It seemed like on Saturday against Houston, it seemed like guys at a certain point were trying to feed him the ball, get him a goal, and that can lead to some frustration, I'm sure. Just what does it mean to you as a coach to see the guy you wanted so desperately over the offseason to finally score?
Yeah, it doesn't actually mean anything to me, but I know it will mean a lot to him. I've got a real close relationship with Dante. I'm pushing him all the time. I think if you asked him, he'd say sometimes I'm quite harsh on him, but that's only because I see massive potential in him as a player, and he's a great person. I know he can shoulder that responsibility. So for sure, the lack of a goal to that point had started to weigh on him. I could see that in the way he was trained. I can see that in his decision making in games. A couple of times against Houston, where Dante at his best would just pass the ball and get an assist, but instead he's trying to shoot. So I think for him, it'll be a I could see his happiness afterwards in the dressing room. So it's brilliant now that he doesn't have to worry about that. The goal came. I had him in the office yesterday, and I said, just focus on the process, focus on the habits, and the goals are only an outcome. If you start focusing on the goals, you're in trouble. Like, focus on the habits that lead to goals, focus on arriving in the right areas, always been at the back post. And he should have had a second goal tonight. The one where first half where we play the ball across and he runs for the cutback zone. If he just runs to the back post, the clips I'm always showing him of Brennan Johnson, who's the best I've ever seen at that habit. Just arrive at the back post, he gets a tap in, he gets his second goal. So still lots to improve, but delighted for him that he gets his goal tonight, and now he can just relax and focus on being himself.
I'm Matt, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
First game we were here, I talked to you about how Zach Steffen made a couple of those saves that changed the game. And tonight, I mean, it could be argued that Nico wins the game with that save by keeping it level. Just what does it mean to have two guys that push each other like that? And just what did you see from Nico tonight, through the whole 90?
Yeah, I saw nothing different from Nico tonight than what I see from him in training, what I see from him whenever he has to step into games. From all the reports I heard also of last season when he was in that spell, we are very fortunate. We've got two number ones. That's how I see it. So we're really, really fortunate in that respect. And that is also inspirational to me in some way. That's what I want to create in every other position. And that's what I'm constantly talking to the club about, how skillful we are with having a clarity of game model where we know every position, what are the desirable attributes we need to make this game model incredible, and that it can be seamless. That, say, against Houston, I can drop Georgie in and boom, instant impact. I can drop Kosi in and boom, instant impact. I think we're a little bit away from that, which is totally natural. I've only been here for a short space of time and one transfer window. So I think the good news is, and the exciting thing for us as a club, is we're all on the same page. We do have clarity of a game model. We are constantly working towards that and having conversations about players we can recruit in each position, and what are the attributes it is that they need to be successful to play this version of football. And I've no doubt we'll get there, but definitely the goalkeeping group with Zach and Nico is, if we can create that across every different position, then my goodness, we're in a strong position as a team.